On the plus side, I will admit, though, I mean, graphically, it's not an amazing-looking game. Atlus has always, until recently, been a very low-budget company.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the best with what they can.
Yeah.
But following Persona 1, we get Persona 2.
Yes.
And Persona 2 is a very interesting game because of how it was released.
Mm-hmm.
So Persona 2 is actually a duology. And there is actually 2 Persona 2s.
Oh, this is the game that was like the 2-disc, right?
Yes.
Yep. The girl with the heart boobs, right?
Yeah, Maya.
Yeah, heart boobs. That girl.
She's one of the best protagonists in the series.
Well, that's how I remember. Oh my god, I looked up Persona 2, and I'm looking at Igor. His nose is so long. Why is Hitler here? Is Hitler in Persona 2?
We're not. Wait, you're going ahead. You're going ahead.
It popped up and related.
Yeah,
Why is Hitler?
Let me explain.
Jesus Christ.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. On this episode, me and Alex are going to be taking a look at the series which has just recently turned 25 years old, Atlus's new, extremely popular RPG franchise, Persona. And we'll be going over a whole bunch of the games from the series' early days to its resurgence in the mid-2000s to its recent spike in popularity in the late 2000s and early 2020s. It's going to be a wild thing, and honestly, let's hope for some more. But anyways, guys, thanks again for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
It's been a week, you know. Oh, my shelves! Yeah. I can talk about my shelves!
Okay.
I ordered shelves, and they came in, and then I had to build them. And they had about, 50,000 screws. It took me for... well, it just, it wasn't hard to build, but it just was, awkward to build. Because I just had to keep... Wait, my cat's being weird again. It took me forever to build, but now I have them, and they look great. And I put my big old Bulbasaur figure on it, as well as my One Piece figures. And as I get more figures, that's where they'll go.
It sounds like it was a very it sounds like it was a very interesting endeavor.
It was. Cabinets, whatever it's called, they're great. Shelves, that's the word. Shelves, they're great.
Shelves.
They help store things. And it makes my living room look a lot bigger now. And it looks more like an entertainment center. So.
Yeah. Nah, my week was pretty average, I guess you could say.
Just no more leaks in the ceiling?
Not above my machine.
Well, you know.
The building still leaks, but...
Yeah. But not yours.
Yeah. Other than that, this week's been miserable because it's been just so hot.
Ugh. Especially, where you don't have AC. It has been, a really, humid week, too. The humidity has been, nuts.
Yeah. That and we've been... I've just been extremely tired this entire week.
I hear ya. I've also just been, exhausted this week. I don't know why. I think it was though everyone was feeling it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because
I don't know.
Especially because last week was kind of cooler, especially with all the rain. So I think when we went back to all the humidity, it was humidity.
Yeah.
We're not ready for it. So I think it hit everyone hard this week.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I went running yesterday.
Oh, how was that?
I can't feel my legs, and it was a horrible idea because it was so freaking hot.
Yeah, I don't know because yesterday I thought, today was hot, but yesterday was hot and humid, so I don't know why you thought...
Today's pretty humid, too.
Yeah. I don't know, yesterday, though, was when you stepped outside, you just felt moist, And, like, that's the worst feeling. When you just feel like you're sweating and all you've done is stepped out of the building. That's the worst. I have to say. It wasn't as bad today.
Yeah. So, what are you drinking for this episode?
For this episode, I'm not just drinking water like the last time. I got some alcohol this week. And this week, I decided to just keep it simple and get some twisted teas. Because you can't go wrong with the twee.
Yeah.
And it's just the original kind. Oh, sorry.
I'm drinking a Crook and Marker blackberry lime seltzer, 0 sugar, infinite flavor, 80 calories.
Ooh.
Yep.
Fancy.
See, 2020 made me drink too much, so now I have to cut back a little. So now, the less calories, the better.
Oh God, you're not even like I'm obese compared to you. So
oh, shut it.
Yeah, like
shut
I need to lose like 50 pounds, and you don't need to lose anything. So you have no reason to talk. I am trying, and now I'm gonna really start trying to lose weight next week. Like on Monday, I'm really gonna try because now we have things to look forward to.
I hope so.
Such as conventions.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in my cosplay and looking like I weigh 200 pounds. So I'm going to try and lose like 50 pounds.
Yep. Yep. So we're going to 2 conventions this year so far.
Yes.
Both in Connecticut.
Yep. And
one's gaming.
Yep.
Although one's not really a cosplay convention.
Yeah, no, Retro World, which is the gaming one, I'm probably not going to cosplay unless I, like, found, like, a video game one. But even then, it would be, like, just something simple, you know?
Yeah.
But the other one, Connecticon, is, like,
Is it Connecticon or is it Connecticon?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I read it as, like, Connecticon. I could be reading it wrong. It could just be Connect. Because I thought it was supposed to be, like, Connecticut. So,
I don't know. It looked like Connecticon.
Connecticon. Octagon.
That looks like more of a...
typical, like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, Comic-Con style. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be... And we've never been to that one before. So it'll be a whole new experience. But it looks like they actually have a lot of cool people... voice actors and stuff. Yeah, they had a lot of Dragon Ball voice actors.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. Bless you. Bless you.
Sorry you had to hear that podcast.
Yeah. No, I don't really go to those things to meet voice actors, but
yeah. No, I don't really either, but it's kind of cool. I mean, especially like I don't know, like. As people who've gone to Comic-Con know, especially in, like, Boston, like, they always say, oh, all these people are going to be here, and then they, like, all pull out, like, at the very last minute. So I wonder if, like, that will be the same for this one.
Well, I still think the worst was William Shatner, like, a couple of years ago at Comic-Con, where you had to pay to see him or something, some stupid shit like that. I was like, no.
That's stupid. Like, you're already paying for the con at that point, like...
It's alright, I had no interest in seeing him anyways, so...
Yeah. No, that's dumb. But...
That's just... I don't really want to see any of these people anyways, because, I mean, I go for... I don't go to conventions for that, I go for... A, it's because it's a glorified shopping trip, and B, just, I like the vibe.
Yeah, it's a fun experience, like, it's always fun, and, I don't know, it's a fun time. It's, like, a different experience, you know? You get to walk around, you get to, like, look at everything, it's fun. But...
Yeah. Yep. I mean, other than that, kind of a slow week, as you said.
No, I mean, well, for me, I feel like it went by fast, but also, like, slow at the same... You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those weeks that was, like, it was long, but, like, it's over, and I'm like, oh, okay. And now it's the weekend, and I'm, like, ready for bed. I'm probably going to go to bed after we finish podcasting, because I just feel so tired today.
Yep. I hear you there.
Yep.
Well, anyways, so for our topic for this episode, one of our favorite video game companies, Atlus, dropped a bombshell on us this week.
What?
So, we're going to be talking about the Persona series.
Yes, as a whole.
Which, as a whole, not just four like we did for like our fourth podcast, I believe.
Yes.
But yeah. So the Persona series just turned 25.
Yep. Hiccup.
Alex is as old as the Persona
I'm
series.
as old as Persona. What?
I'm 1 year older than Persona,
Wow.
so yeah.
You're so old. You're old.
Oh, jeez.
Old man Bill. Old man William.
I've unironically been called that before.
Old man William? Or old man Bill?
I've been referred to as the old man.
The old man.
So. But anyways, Persona. What an odd series.
What an awesome series.
Well, yeah, it is an awesome series, but it has one of the weirdest histories, I think, in gaming. So I guess we should probably start with the beginning.
Okay.
So, obviously, Atlus is... Until recently, they've always been kind of a relatively obscure company.
Yep.
Like, they've been around since, like, 86.
Yep.
But for the most part, you never really noticed what they actually made.
Mm-hmm.
You'd see them publish a lot of stuff over here, because Atlus USA is a very prolific publisher in the US.
Yep.
Because, like, fun fact, if you see the Atlus logo on the bottom of a game, there's a good chance they didn't actually make it. They were just publishing it.
Huh. It's interesting.
But if we want to go back to Persona's origins. So the Persona series is actually a spin-off of Atlus's mainline series, the Megami Tensei series.
Yep.
Or more commonly known as the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Persona series arguably dates a little bit farther back than its official debut, because the game that truly inspired Persona was a relatively obscure, in the US anyways, game called Shin Megami Tensei If, which came out after Shin Megami Tensei 2, and it was originally released for the Super Nintendo. But it was... So the Megami Tensei series was always known for kind of its, like... It always had kind of like a real-world setting, and you'd have kind of like... You'd have to, like, recruit demons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Shin Megami Tensei If was notable for... It took place in a high school. But it still played like a normal Shin Megami Tensei game, which is like first-person, like, dungeon crawler kind of game where you recruit
party members and...
Not party members, you recruit demons.
Oh, okay.
Via, like, I'm not a huge... I've played some Shin Megami Tensei, but I'm not a huge Shin Megami Tensei guy, so I don't know the exacts.
Mm-hmm.
But, unfortunately, Shin Megami Tensei If has never actually been released over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, most of the Shin Megami Tensei series hasn't been released over here. Like, everything before Persona, really, hasn't been officially released. I do have a translated ROM cart of Shin Megami Tensei If, and I've played a little of it. It's interesting. You definitely can see the Persona... You can see where Persona got its influence from.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 1996, this was when Atlus made their first big push to get the Persona, like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, outside of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And their first game was... So they released 3 games. The first being Jack Brothers on the Virtual Boy, which is actually one of the rarest Virtual Boy games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not a common game at all. But that was kind of a Shin Megami Tensei spin-off that not a lot of people noticed. And then the other 2 games were Revelations Persona and Revelations the Demon Slayer, or something like that. Both of which were basically the first Shin Megami Tensei games to release over here, because they were initially, it seemed like they were going to try and use Revelations as the Shin Megami Tensei moniker overseas. So Revelations Persona is a very interesting game, because the Persona series is very Japanese.
Yes,
Like,
it's very Japan.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Like, you play the games and it's like, there's no hiding the fact that this is clearly Japan.
This takes place in Japan, yeah.
Yeah. So, Revelations Persona, they attempted to localize.
Oh no. Oh no.
And by localize, they also tried to, like, change... They changed it up so it seemed like the game took place in America.
Oh no.
So they redesigned every character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they designed their character portraits and stuff to make them look more quote-unquote American. So, like...
Oh, no.
Obviously, in, like, the Japanese version, everyone has, like, dark black hair. Like,
yeah.
So, in this version, instead they have, like, everyone has, like, either, like, red hair or blonde hair or brown hair.
Oh, no. That's...
Except for the one character that they didn't change, and they made them the token Asian. Like,
oh, no. Oh, no.
And then the most infamous was one of the characters they made the black character.
Oh.
The only one in the game.
Oh, no.
And unfortunately, the character they chose was probably the most unfortunate.
Oh, no.
And I'm not gonna get super into it because it's really, it's not a great topic. If you've played it, you know.
Yeah, it was not a good choice. It was not.
It was very, very much the first attempt at localizing the game.
Oh no.
And it showed.
But did they have any atrocities such as, like, the rice ball donut from Pokemon?
Yes, they did.
They did?
Yes. That particular character they named Mark.
Yep.
And one of his moves in battle is he does dances, which are part of how that you negotiate with the demons that you use to, like, recruit.
Yep.
Or get items from.
Yep.
So one of the most famous lines in the game is, like, it's like, whenever you do the dance move, it would always be like, Mark danced, like, excitedly, or, like, Mark danced sensually, or the most famous one, Mark danced crazy. And that line is, like, up there with, like, You Spoony Bard from the original Final Fantasy IV translation, as just one of those, like, awful translation lines that's so iconic that it's actually been kept for, like, all future re-releases.
Yeah.
Because we'll get to it later, but Persona 1 was later remade for the PSP,
mm-hmm.
and they thankfully retained its original designs.
Yep.
But they kept the character Mark. They kept his nickname Mark just so they could keep the line "Mark Dance Crazy" in the game. Which is funny. It's fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting back to the original Persona, like, aside from that, they also changed, like, all the names.
Yep.
And an entire portion of the game was cut from the US version.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely due to time constraints and localization issues. So, because the original Persona had two different quests, like, two different routes you could take.
Mm-hmm.
There was the main route, which is called the Sebek route.
Yeah.
And then there's the Snow Queen quest, which is a completely different route that you can take. Now, the Snow Queen quest was removed from the original PlayStation version in the North America, so I'll get into it more later on.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, Persona 1 is, I guess you could say, the black sheep of the series nowadays. Because it is the most Shin Megami Tensei out of the entire series. Because it still has the first-person, like, dungeon crawling, like, dungeon exploration.
Yep.
Like, you're rarely ever in, like, third-person perspective. And then you kind of, like, go into battles, and it's got a very Shin Megami Tensei style to it. But it takes place in a high school, and it has a very bizarre, like, plot that involves, like, going between worlds, and, like, it's very much like a whole, like, the whole theme is always, like, mentality, and, like, the mentality of, like, humanity and, like, different emotions. But the whole gimmick with Persona is every party member has a persona that they can summon.
Yes.
And by summoning that persona, that's how they do their, like, magical attacks. And, like, you can fuse different personas with the different demons you collect in dungeons to make stronger personas. And it's all... Persona 1 in particular has a very complex persona creation structure.
Yes.
And honestly, Persona 1... I wouldn't really recommend playing for two reasons. One, it's not that it's an awful game, because it's not. I mean, the PlayStation version I wouldn't recommend playing just in general because of a lot of reasons.
Yep.
But for the most part, it's A, because the game is absurdly expensive these days.
Oh yeah, I can bet. How much did
and
you?
B, it hasn't aged well.
How much did you spend on your copy? I'm just curious.
So I got extremely lucky with my copy, and I found it for $50.
Oh wow! And what is like the going price right now? I'm just curious.
At least around $300-ish.
Oh wow! Yeah, so you got a good deal then.
Yeah, well, I also bought it like in 2013 when no one really cared.
Yeah, and now everyone cares. But in your opinion, you wouldn't recommend Persona 1?
No. If you really need to play Persona 1, like the Revelations Persona, the original, pick up a PlayStation Classic. Because for some reason, it was included on the PlayStation Classic out of all games.
Oh, really?
It's on there.
That's interesting.
I don't know why. I guess because Persona 5 was so big at the time. But yeah. The PlayStation Classic has Persona 1 in its original, like, horrible localized form.
Huh. That's funny. Wait, and it's like the bad it's the bad localization.
The version we got. It's the version we got.
Oh my god!
What?
I looked up. I wanted to see the localization change. I found Mark.
Yeah.
I found Mark. Oh my god, that's horrible. It's awful. They put like a baseball hat on him too.
Yep.
Oh, and they did the horrible, like, there's one thing, like, with Japanese animation that they do, well, and we've kind of seen it in, like, classic animation, too, especially where they, like, accentuate, like, the lips, and it's just, I see that, I'm like, oh, that's so bad, it's so bad.
The 90s were a different time.
Oh my god.
They learned. Thankfully, they learned real fast.
I found Mark Dance crazy.
That's the only redeeming thing from this game.
Oh my god.
Oh, another fun fact. This game is rated KA.
What does KA mean?
KA was before E for Everyone. KA was Kid to Adult.
Oh, okay.
KA was replaced by everybody. But this Persona 1 was rated KA.
Yeah, it was a different time. I'm trying to see it.
No. You know what I guarantee? The raiders looked at it for 5 seconds and went, "Oh yeah, that's KA, definitely."
Oh my goodness.
Then you get to the final boss, which is literally a
Oh my god.
a large phallic object with a head and butterfly. Yeah, it's not good. But
I'm looking at the localization pictures, and oh my god, they just like they literally like besides Mark, they literally just whitewashed all the other characters.
Except for the token Asian, she stayed the same.
Except for she's not popping up. I think that's why.
Well, no, because she doesn't change.
Is she the one with the headband, with the red headband? Is that her character?
No, she has like shorter hair.
Oh, well, there's a girl with shorter hair, but she has a red headband. So, wait, maybe there's another character. I don't know, but
they're probably not showing her because there wasn't anything changed.
True.
Which is ironic, because she's actually a significant character in the sequel, but
Oh my god. Mark danced crazy. Mark danced seductively.
One of the best is one of the enemies in the game is literally a toilet.
Really?
Yeah, so you can dance seductively to the toilet.
Oh my god.
It's Persona 1 is a beautiful disaster.
Oh, I could.
That said, the actual original Japanese version, well, I still think it still not a great game by modern standards.
Definitely had problems, but was much better than Mark Date's Crazy.
Yeah. Now, on the plus side, I will admit, though, I mean, graphically, it's not an amazing-looking game. Atlus has always, until recently, been a very low-budget company. Mm-hmm. And they do the best with what they can.
Yeah.
But following Persona 1, we get Persona 2.
Yes.
And Persona 2 is a very interesting game because of how it was released. Mm-hmm. So Persona 2 is actually a duology. and there is actually 2 Persona 2s.
Oh, this is the game that was like the 2-disc, right?
Yes.
Yep. The
Well,
girl
it
with the
gets
heart
confused.
boobs, right?
Yeah, Maya.
Yeah, heart boobs. That girl.
She's one of the best protagonists in the series.
Well, that's how I remember. Oh my god, I looked up Persona 2, and I'm looking at Igor. His nose is so long. Why is Hitler here? Is Hitler in Persona 2?
We're not. Wait, you're going ahead. You're going ahead.
It popped up and related.
Yeah,
Why is Hitler?
Let me explain.
Jesus Christ.
So, Persona 2 was released shortly after Persona 1, like a couple of years later.
Yep.
And it was, as I said, a duology.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 2 halves to Persona 1. Persona 2. There was Persona 2 Innocent Sin.
Yep.
And Persona 2 Eternal Punishment.
Yep.
Now, here's where things get confusing. The first part, Innocent Sin, is kind of like a sequel to Persona 1, because it does feature some of the characters from Persona 1, particularly Yukino, who was the one character that wasn't changed in between games.
Yep.
But, yeah, so the game, for Persona 2, they actually completely revamped the entire structure of the game. Like, they dropped the first-person dungeons in favor of making a third-person adventure. Actually, I think Atlus's first third-person RPG.
Yep.
And the graphics saw a significant overhaul. Like, everything basically got refined.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the unfortunate part. Innocent Sin did not come out in America.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of conflicting reports. I think a lot of it has to do with how the main antagonist of the game is literally Hitler. Yeah. I don't think that's the exact reason. I think there was a number of reasons. I think it partially had to do with localization costs.
But Hitler definitely didn't help.
No. But, so, Persona 2 has a great story and a great, like, characters.
Mm-hmm.
An incredible battle system. Like, the whole story is kind of like... It represents, like, negative human emotion. It's kind of actually the most similar to JoJo's. Because this was
really?
the one that had... Yeah, because this was the one that had, like, the shadows.
Yep.
For the first time. Because it actually predates Persona 4 in that regard, where you face off against shadowy figures of certain characters, and you kind of face off... This is a very rough translation, because I'm not the best with explaining Persona 2, because it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm. And it has Hitler,
game.
so, you know.
So it's not actually Hitler. It's
Hitler.
It's a demon.
It's Hitler.
It's a demon taking Hitler's form because evil.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's complicated like that. But the way Persona 2 ends, without spoiling, is basically you fucked up.
Oh.
And you basically get the shot of basically resetting everything. So what's interesting about Persona 2 Innocent Sin is you play as like high school students again.
Yep.
Now Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is basically you basically went back after your screw up at the end of Innocent Sin.
Yep.
You got a do-over button, basically.
Yep.
But it changes events a little.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're playing as adult versions of the characters from Persona from the first.
Oh, from the first game, Persona 1.
Yes.
Oh.
But you have a different protagonist, because the first game you play as the male protagonist from 2.
Yep.
And Maya is a supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
And she has like a full-on personality and stuff.
Yeah.
In Persona in Eternal Punishment, you play as Maya, and she becomes a silent protagonist.
And Maya is the heart girl, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's on the cover of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment.
Yep. Okay. That's who I'm looking at.
But, and then the other protagonist, Tetsuya, I think it's Tetsuya,
Mm-hmm.
He becomes the supporting character.
Yep.
And it basically, you're playing through an event of the game, basically, where you don't have to play Innocent Sin to enjoy Eternal Punishment.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of gives you some background information, because they both can stand on their own.
Yeah.
Now, here's where things get a little confusing. So, Innocent Sin initially did not get a release in America, but Eternal Punishment did.
Ah.
So, they kind of had to work around a few things, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the cost of localizing, they could only really do one, so they went with Eternal Punishment because it was the more current game at the time.
Yep.
I think it also had to do with the Hitler thing, but...
Yeah, I don't think...
Who knows?
Yeah.
But,
And Hitler isn't in the second one, right?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because it's a different villain. Well, no, I think it's the actual villain's real form.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so...
Is it a guy with a bag on his head? Who is this?
It's like a crown.
Oh, no, there's a... I might not be looking at Persona 2, then. There's a guy with, like, a paper bag on its head.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Alright, well...
But what's interesting about Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is you actually run into a bunch of the characters from Persona 1. At one point, they're all older.
Oh, that's funny.
You also run into... and they had to, like, work around the localization issues from Persona 1. Like, there's actually a character... one of the villains in Persona 1 is... He has a Japanese name in the actual game.
Yep.
But in the American version, they literally just named him Guido. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So they worked around this in Eternal Punishment by making... apparently Guido was actually in an alias.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just basically a fake name.
Yep.
Now, the Persona 2 duology is... So this is where things get kind of interesting. So the first two Persona games were directed by one of Atlus's co-founders, who was also one of the main... who was also one of the main people behind, like, the Shin Megami Tensei series. And they had... the main artist for the games was one of the Atlus's longest-running... creators, Kazuma Kaneko, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did all the character art. He's also the main art guy for the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Yeah.
And so after Persona 2, the series kind of goes dark for a while. So Persona 2 came out in 2000, so 99 and 2000.
Yep.
The series would not get another entry until 2006.
Oh, wow.
And this would kind of become a theme with the series for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing, Persona 2, incredibly worth playing.
Yep.
Don't get the PlayStation 2 version of Eternal Punishment, because it is also about $300.
Oh, wow. And how much did you spend on it?
$20.
Wow. How did you do that?
Because I bought it in 2012 when nobody cared.
Good job.
Yeah.
Proud of you. Proud of you.
So after the Persona 2, Atlus actually did get a bit more, like, regular with releasing games over here. Like, we got, by that point afterwards, we got Shin Megami on the PlayStation 2. We got Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, the Devil Summoner games.
Yep.
And the Digital Devil Saga, which in itself had some similar themes to what Persona would become, because it had kind of a theme of summoning, like, your inner self, kind of thing, if I'm remembering correctly. And there was also Demi Kids on the Game Boy Advance. So eventually, Persona 3 gets announced.
Yep.
And Persona 3 takes the series in a radically different direction.
Yes.
So, this was notably the first game... Persona 3 was notably the first game to feature the iconic now Persona team of director Katsura Hashino. I'm probably butchering that name. I apologize. Artist Shigenori Soejima. I'm sorry, I apologize.
You're doing great.
And composer Shoji Meguro.
Yep.
That one I believe I got right.
I think they sounded okay. But I could be very wrong, so it's better you apologize.
Yeah. So Persona 3 originally released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2. And from a graphical standpoint now, we've definitely made a jump. It's all full 3D now.
Yep.
Third person.
Mm-hmm.
And Persona 3 is interesting because it established now what has become the Persona formula.
Yes.
You play as a technically nameless protagonist, although they all have names.
Mm-hmm.
They get names later on. So the protagonist for Persona 3 is... he has a couple names. His official canon name, I believe now, though, is Makoto Yuki.
Yep.
And he is basically a character whose parents were killed before the events of the game, and now he's attending high school on Tatsumi Port Island.
Yep.
Which is like an artificial island run by the Kirijo group, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This is all would make sense if you've played the game.
Yep.
And you basically start off your day as you're a transfer student into the high school on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And then shit gets weird real fast.
Yep. As most Persona does.
Yeah. So you move into the dormitory and you question why one of the students has a gun, which isn't actually a gun, but we'll get to that later. And then the first night, all of a sudden, like, in the middle of the night, everyone turns into coffins, and, like, there's, like, 1 hour after midnight where it's just, like, all of a sudden, everyone on the planet turns into coffins, and then shadows run amok in the city. And this specialized group known as the Seas, I believe, it's like SEES or something,
Mm-hmm.
they go on and slay the shadows with their personas.
Huh.
So, I'm not going to get too into the story because it's actually a really good story, very dark and like interesting story that you should really play.
Yep.
But so structurally, Persona 3, the first game in the series that introduced the whole kind of the split between RPG, turn-based RPG action,
Yep.
and social life simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Where half the game you play as a high school student and you can explore the high school, interact with the other students, and like meet people to bring up your social links, which the game also introduces, which they're kind of like side quests, like story chains,
Mm-hmm.
with each individual character. And basically when you follow these things, you learn more about the character, you unlock more story, but it also like helps out with your
Persona.
It helps out like with the game, like you get like persona bonuses, especially if the characters are like your party members.
Yep.
You get different abilities and stuff, and you get more of the story.
Yeah.
Now the other half of the game is the actual dungeon exploration, which takes place in a area called Tartarus, which is basically like just a whole bunch of floors, and you clear the floor, you move up, and eventually you'll get to like a boss fight at the end of each floor.
Yep.
Well, each like number of floors.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that. Now, Persona 3 has some flaws, though, that later series entries would iron out.
Yeah.
So, one of the biggest problems I have with Persona 3 is you cannot control your characters.
Oh. It doesn't give you the option. So they basically do whatever they want.
Basically you only can control the protagonist, and every other character basically does their own thing. I think you can kind of mess with what they do via like, you can like modify like their behavior patterns or something,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that you can't actually directly control them.
Yeah.
Which can be a little frustrating.
Oh yeah, I bet that could be super frustrating, especially playing the future games, like, and I haven't played that.
Well, yeah.
I would be so frustrated because I definitely like make them do what I want them to do. So
yeah,
and I'm sure it really yeah.
And Persona 3's other big problem is time management.
Mm-hmm.
So the Persona games from 3 onward have a huge emphasis on time management.
Yeah.
Because you have a limited amount of days like
Mm-hmm.
that you can play through the game before it ends.
Yeah.
So you have to basically spend each day getting as much as you can do done at a time. And you can only do so much during a day.
Yeah.
And in this game in particular, too, your social links can, like, go backwards if you screw them up.
Oh. Does that happen in Persona 4?
I know there's one where it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I don't think so. I mean, it's never happened to me in Persona 4.
Yeah, I've never seen it happen, so. Ooh.
But I've also never screwed up any of the social links in Persona 4.
You're so smart.
It's not very hard, but...
Well, you're also the person who tryhards it to get, like, every social link finished.
No, I skip some of them. Some of them I just don't care.
Oh.
But, anyways, Persona 3, so... Yeah, it's not the most refined game. I also think the dungeons are kind of repetitive because every floor of Tartarus is kind of the same.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the soundtrack. It's got a very moody and deep soundtrack.
Yep.
And the story is very dark, but also very excellent.
Mm.
And I won't spoil how it ends because it is a bit shocking, but Persona 3 has a very dark ending.
Yes.
To say the least.
Very dark.
And interestingly enough, after its release, Atlus would revisit a bunch of their older games.
Yes.
But before we get there, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Woo!
And we're back.
We're back. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I made a weird noise. It just kind of happened.
It's okay. So, now for Persona 3, following its release, Atlus would actually, a year later, release an updated version of Persona 3.
Oh.
Called Persona 3 FES.
Yep.
And what Persona 3 FES does is, basically it doesn't really change the core gameplay, the game at all, but it adds in an additional, like, storyline that takes place after the events of Persona 3. So in reality, there's no reason nowadays to own, like, vanilla Persona 3.
Yep.
Because if you're gonna play it, you play FES.
Yeah.
So, all that it really did is it did a storyline after the end where you play as one of your party members, the robot, Agus. And it's kind of just a continuation of the plot line, and I don't really want to go super deep into it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who is interested in playing.
Yep.
But following Persona 3 FES, then we'd get Persona 4. Now, Persona 4 is interesting in the series because... So, I'm convinced, because of how close they were made together...
Yep.
I'm convinced Persona 3 had most of the budget.
Yep.
And then everything else, after they finished that, they used what they had to make Persona 4. Because Persona 3 is admittedly probably a more stylized game than 4.
Yep.
But I feel like 4, they put more attention into basically everything else.
Yep.
So obviously we did an entire podcast about 4. It was episode 4.
Yep.
We droned on and
Persona
on. Persona
4 was episode 4.
Yeah, that might have been intentional, but
Sorry.
We droned on for over an hour about Persona 4 and how it's literally my favorite game of all time. And how I play it once a year.
Yep.
But...
It never gets old.
No, it doesn't. It's a really great RPG, and...
Yeah.
Honestly, it fixed most of the problems that 3 had.
Yeah.
Because for starters, you can control your party members now.
Yes.
Or you can have them do their own thing, like in 3, if you really are into that.
If you prefer that. But you also have the option.
Yep. It definitely greatly gave you more freedom with the time management this time around, because in Persona 3, you gotta follow a strict schedule if you want to get everything.
Oh, yeah.
Persona 4, you gotta follow a schedule, but you have a little bit more leniency and a bit more...
It's a little more fair.
Yeah. The town is also a bit smaller and more confined. And it kind of... And it has greater dungeon variety.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest debate I've seen between 3 and 4 is some people prefer 4's gameplay, but 3's story. I personally prefer 4's story just because I love the plot line of everybody has their inner demons, and you gotta... It's better to accept yourself for who you are, not try to hide from it kind of storyline that 4 has. with the murder mystery going on in the background.
Yep. Oh my god.
What?
Sorry, I looked up, I was curious, because I've been into figures recently, so I looked up to see if there's a Persona 4 figure, and there's one of, of the main character, Yu, and then his persona, and it's selling for $800.
That sounds about right.
Oh my god. Sorry. I was just like, I don't know if that's overpriced, though, because it looks like there's the same figure next to it, and they're selling it for $90, so that might be jacked up.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so Persona 4 has, in my opinion, probably the best soundtrack. Maybe not soundtrack, because we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but my favorite cast of characters by far. Like, every party member in 4 is so relatable, so likable.
Oh, yeah.
I love Yuna Arakami. I love every one of your party members. Even the side characters are all likable. Except for you. You don't like the drama class girl, but
no. Well, she's just I don't know why, but for some reason her design, it just it doesn't I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, you instead like the Pikachu girl.
The Pikachu girl.
Yeah, the trumpet player.
Oh, yeah, but her storyline is so cute and adorable. And, also, she's not depressed if, you basically, say, no, let's just be friends. And that's...
the drama root storyline is a lot more depressing, too.
Yeah. I'd rather just see a little girl trying to play her trumpet. She's just trying her best.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But Persona 4 has some great characters, great
Teddy
voice acting.
Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy.
I love Teddy. He's my favorite.
I love everybody in Persona 4.
Oh, yeah, all the characters are so lovable.
And so 4 is interesting because 4 was not a worldwide record-shattering success, but Persona 4 was pretty big when it came out. And it really pushed the series into the we know what this is.
Yeah.
Persona 4 was what got me interested in playing the series in general.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it at the time because it was rated M.
Yep. And you weren't allowed.
No, that was 2008. We were only in God, we still I think middle school maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We were children. We were babies. Oh my God.
What?
I was trying to see if there's a Teddy figure, because now I really want one, because Teddy's my favorite. He's my favorite character of the whole games. I love him. But there's one of him where he has his human form, and he's in the costume, but he has the little hat off, and it's adorable. Oh.
Okay.
I'm having a great time.
I bet you are. Now, anyways, so after Persona 4, the wait for Persona 5 would be insane.
Yes.
So, similar to how there was a gap between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the gap between 4 and 5 was huge.
Yep.
And in the interim between 4 and 5,
there was many a spin-off.
Atlus released many a spin-off and many a remake.
Yes.
So, directly following Persona 4, we got Shin Megami Tensei Persona on the PSP, which was a remake of Persona 1.
Yep.
Featuring both quests, fixed localization.
Yeah. No more Mark. No more the Mark.
No, Mark's still there. He's just not that
Mark is still there, but he's just more, he's not inappropriate anymore.
Yeah. They also revamped the soundtrack and all the battle systems. Basically, it's the definitive way to play the game, honestly, at this point. And that was for the PSP, and the PSP got many a Persona title.
Yes.
Because following that, we got another Persona 3 re-release. We got Persona 3 Portable, which, while I still think FES is probably the definitive way to play 3, Persona 3 Portable is interesting because basically they took Persona they took Persona 3 and they basically crammed it onto a PSP disc.
Yep.
And it features kind of condensed exploration and stuff, but it features the same story. But now it adds an additional female protagonist that you can play as.
Oh, cool.
Along with a revised battle system, which basically lifts the battle system from 4 and puts it in 3.
Oh, nice.
So you can control your party members.
That's nice.
Although it doesn't include any of the FES stuff.
Oh. Well,
so
they tried.
Yeah. But I mean, Persona 3 Portable is definitely up there too.
Yeah.
As a really great way to play Persona 3. And then following Persona 3 Portable, we had, I believe it was Persona 4 Arena next.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. It was Innocent Sin. Never mind.
Just kidding.
So we got the remake for Persona 2 Innocent Sin. And this time around, we actually got Persona Innocent Sin over here.
Oh, no.
And they kind of edited it slightly, you could tell, because Hitler is now referred to as the Führer.
Yeah.
And he has shades.
Yes. To make him less Hitlery.
But the game itself, it's basically similar to the Persona 1 remake. They clean things up, remaster the soundtrack, revise the graphics, and we finally got a way to play it over here.
Mm.
But tragically...
Tragic.
We did not get the PSP version of Eternal Punishment.
Oh! That's dumb.
Well, here's the thing. There's never really been given a reason why. The only reasoning we've been given was basically there was strange circumstances.
Mysterious circumstances.
That's basically all we got. Like, they really did not give an official answer why we did not get Eternal Punishment for PSP. I really got to import the Japanese version at some point, because I just want to experience it a little.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we ever go to Japan, we'll find a copy and we'll buy it in person.
I might find it at Retro World, for all we know.
Yeah, you never know.
And so in between Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment's PSP releases, this is when we got Persona 4 Arena, which was a fighting game made by Arc System Works, who were the creators of like Guilty Gear and like BlazBlue.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically stars the Persona characters, and it features like a full-on story mode that's super confusing to get through.
Yep.
That it takes place after the events of 4, where basically Yu comes back to Inuba and shit happens again.
Shit gets real.
And so you're in the TV world, and there's like a fighting tournament going on. So that's basically the excuse for why you have to fight all the characters this time around.
Huh.
And it was also the first game to officially use Yu Narukami as his canon name.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, because it was right after the anime adaptation.
Ah, so they made where he became the mimetic
badass that he is.
Yes. Oh, I loved what they did to his character, like in the...
Well, he went from being just kind of like the silent protagonist to basically he just became this like mimetic badass who's perfect at everything he does.
Yep.
But yeah, so Persona 4 Arena was a really solid fighter.
Yep.
And after Persona 4 Arena, then we got Persona 4 Golden.
Yes.
For the Vita.
Yes.
Which is, up until its PC port last year, was probably one of the only reasons to own a Vita.
Yeah. It's the only reason I own a Vita.
It's the only reason my Vita gets played once a year, like regularly once a year, but
Yep.
So Persona 4 Golden is similar to Persona 2 FES and Portable.
Mm-hmm.
It is the definitive version of Persona 4.
Yeah.
Now what's funny about Golden was originally they were going to do like a Persona 4 Portable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, backtrack a minute because I forgot to talk about a couple key things from Persona 3 Portable.
Okay.
So there was additional also like content added for Persona 3 Portable.
Yeah.
Including there's one point where you actually visit Inuba.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you meet young Yukiko.
Huh. That's funny.
It's like middle school Yukiko where she has like shorter hair.
Yep.
And she's in like a standard middle school uniform instead.
Yep.
And then you also meet. It's not Vincent, but it's a guy who looks like Vincent from Catherine is just chilling in a bar.
Oh, that's funny.
And he kind of alludes to like Catherine in like kind of like a stealthy kind of way.
Yep. Did this come out before Catherine or after Catherine?
I'd have to look. I think it might have been around the same time.
Oh, okay.
Because you got to remember, there was no Persona. Atlus really didn't release anything on the PlayStation 3 or 360 during this time.
Mm-hmm.
There was Catherine, and then there was Persona 4 Arena.
Yep.
So, Persona 4 Golden, though, originally that was supposed to be a PSP game similar to Persona 3.
Uh-huh.
And it was supposed to be like kind of stripped down to fit on a PSP.
Yep.
Then they got the specs for the Vita, and they realized they could expand the game.
Yeah.
So Persona 4 Golden is like the definitive way to play Persona 4.
Yes.
Like there's no reason to play regular Persona 4 anymore.
No.
Because it refines everything, adds way more, like a whole bunch more content. I think like over like 30 something hours added to it.
Yeah.
A whole extra characters, additional storylines. It's the greatest game ever made, even better.
Yeah.
And oh man, so many hours pumped into Persona 4 Golden. Like, yep. I'm not kidding when I say I play it like literally once a year.
Nope,
good.
I can confirm. He plays it once a year.
Yeah, I played it so much that you wanted to play it, so I had to buy you a Vita.
And that's how I played Persona. Thought I heard something. Maybe I'm just going crazy.
after Persona 4 Golden, this is when Persona Mania started.
Yes.
Because then we got Persona 4 Arena Ultimix, which was an updated version of Persona 4 Arena, featuring even more characters. Because Persona 4 Arena, I forgot to mention, is a crossover with Persona 3, because you meet up with the adult versions of the Persona 3 cast, minus the protagonist.
Yep.
And,
for reasons.
For reasons, but play the game to find out.
Yes.
But yeah. So it's kind of like a weird that it basically continues. Ultimix continues right after the events of Persona 4 Arena. Mm-hmm. So you basically it's the same shit. You're in this TV fighting tournament. Yeah. Adds more playable characters. Like this time you actually get to play as Rise.
Oh, nice.
Plus the rest of the Persona 3 cast.
Yep.
That wasn't in the first game. And it's good. It's probably one of the best fighters. And we actually played in an official arcade cabinet of it at this arcade we went to once.
Oh, round 1, right? Round 1.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
That doesn't exist anymore. But
Oh, it doesn't?
No, they tore that mall down.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure the franchise still exists. We should find one so we can play it again.
Yeah.
I'm determined. Round 1.
But anyways, Persona. So after Persona 4 Arena Ultimix, then we got 2 more spin-offs. We got Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth. And this one was interesting because this was the first Persona game not to release on a Sony console. Instead, it was released for the 3DS of all things.
Yeah.
And Persona Q was once again a crossover between 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. Although this one takes place kind of in like a weird like alternate like time. Canonically, it takes place during the Culture Festival from Persona 4. Huh. But it's in like a pocket dimension kind of thing where they meet up with the cast of Persona 3, but they're all the same age.
Yep.
So the 3 cast, they're kind of meeting in this weird time bubble thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Persona Q is essentially... It's essentially Etrian Odyssey meets Persona. With like first-person dungeon crawling and like map drawing and a completely different setup than Persona. Like, it's nothing like the mainline Persona games. But it's a fairly interesting game for what it is. And then that was also followed up by probably the most interesting spin-off to date, Persona 4, Dancing All Night.
Yeah!
Now, Persona 4 Dancing All Night is a rhythm dancing game. Mm-hmm. Kind of similar to, like, say...
Sorry. Sorry. I just choked on my drink.
You need to stop doing this during podcasts.
I'm sorry, I can't help choking. It just happens. I don't do it on purpose. You're making it sound like I do it on purpose.
Okay. Oh, quit your crocodile.
Podcast, he's bullying me.
Well, anyways, Persona 4 dancing...
Taylor!
Are you okay? Do you need a moment?
No. I just need you to stop yelling and judging me when I cough or choke. Bill,
You're not supposed to inhale your drinks.
I wasn't trying to. Alright, let's continue this bullshit.
So, Persona 4 Dancing All Night is a rhythm game that takes place after the events of Persona 4 Arena, but before the events of the epilogue from Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah.
So it's basically Rise's in a dancing competition, not a competition. She's returned to being an idol, and this is her first big performance. But then, like all Persona games, shit gets real. And you're back in the shadow world again, and instead of fighting shadows with personas, you instead fight them with dance.
Yes.
And it's, I mean, say what you will, it's a rhythm game. It's a decent rhythm game.
Oh yeah, and like one thing too is like in Japan, rhythm games are so much bigger than they are here.
Oh, they're pretty big here these days too.
Oh yeah, but like I just from my experience in Japan, I remember like going to every arcade had a section for rhythm games. Like, there was the whole
everywhere.
designated section just for rhythm games, and like you could see people and they'd be like, it was nuts. But like it's super big in Japan, so I'm not surprised Persona made one. I wonder if they have an arcade cabinet for it. They probably do.
I don't think so. I think it was strictly a.
Well, no. In Japan they might.
No, I done research. I don't think it was ever made for arcades.
Aw, well that's stupid. No,
well, the way it's designed, it's not really designed to be an arcade cabinet kind of game. But yeah. But so the main reason to play Persona 4 Dancing All Night, unless you're a diehard like me and you want to hear more storyline, is the remixes.
Oh yeah.
Basically, the game is you get a whole bunch of different dance-styled remixes of Shoji Megura's OST from Persona 4, and it includes songs from Persona Q, Arena, the anime, like also all these different like sources. Basically, it's basically just a giant celebration of Persona 4.
Yep.
And the only downside was at the time initially it was exclusive to the Vita. So not a lot of people have played it. Even though it looks gorgeous for a Vita title.
Oh yeah. But because it was on a handheld that nobody owned. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Not a lot of people played it.
Nope.
But during this whole interim, like, this was all literally during the hype for Persona 5. And so during like around the point where like Arena was announced and like Arena Ultimate Q and like Dancing All Night, we finally started getting info on Persona 5.
Yep.
And once we finally got the first trailer, the first screenshots and stuff, it was like, so essentially Persona 5 I guess to put it mildly, kind of skipped a generation.
Yep.
Sort of.
Kind of.
Because it did still release for PS3, but this game was meant for PS4.
Oh, yeah. Point. Yeah.
So, I remember the hype for Persona 5 like nothing else, because it was like, a diehard Persona 4 fan, I want the next game in the series.
Yeah. And there was like, wasn't there like a ton of delays? Like, it kept getting delayed and delayed.
It kept getting delayed.
So then you were just ugh, more hype. Yep.
Well, I remember because I went to GameStop and I pre-ordered the special edition, the Take Your Heart special edition.
Yep.
And I remember they kept unveiling the characters, and it's like, I love when they first unveiled the characters, because we had no idea what their personalities were, so we just kind of saw these different character designs, and we're kind of like, I wonder what these people are going to be like. And it's like, it had a very, like, stylized approach.
Oh, yeah.
And then we started seeing more and more, like, stuff, like, being revealed. Like, we'd see gameplay elements and gameplay aspects, and then all of a sudden we start seeing actual, like cutscenes and stuff, and it's like, this is a next-gen Persona. It's everything we wanted.
Yeah.
And then finally the day comes where I can go pick up Persona 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before, but I put it in and I play literally 1 hour, and I stop and I go to eBay and I buy the soundtrack.
Oh my goodness.
Because 1 hour in and I was already hooked on the soundtrack. It's that good.
It is a great soundtrack.
Oh, it's so amazing.
Also,
but
it has...
Persona 5... What were you saying?
The soundtrack also has created one of my favorite videos.
Oh, yeah.
With the bird.
Yeah. Persona 5 spawned a lot of memes.
Oh, yeah, it did.
But, so Persona 5... I don't know what it was about Persona 5, but they actually incorporated a lot of elements from Persona 1 back into this game. Notably, they brought back guns, which were... you had basically 2 weapon options in like Persona 1, and I think maybe 2.
Yeah.
You had your normal attack, and then you had a gun.
Yep.
And they brought back the guns as a secondary weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And they also brought back the demon negotiations.
Huh.
Which you do to get either like get personas to join you or to get items, which was a big thing in Persona 1 and 2 to a lesser extent. 5 brings it back, and now with like the full-on stylized graphics and the Persona, the style that was established with Persona 3 on.
Yeah.
Although Persona 5's storyline is a bit darker this time around.
Oh yeah.
Where you're basically the whole plot of the whole message of Persona 5 is basically society sucks.
Yeah. Accurate.
And,
no.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go there, but
I did.
Yeah, I know you did, but yeah. So the whole plot with Persona 5 is basically you have people who are like absolutely despicable, and you're basically you play as the Phantom Thieves of Heart, and you basically go into this other world, which is basically like kind of like the inner personified thoughts of the people, and you basically visit their cognitive worlds, and you basically can change them from the inside to make them better people, in a sense. And it gets really complex with the theming, especially the first couple.
Yeah.
Like, in particular. And, oh my god, the graphics are so great. The characters are just as likable as in 4. Honestly, they're probably... If I wasn't such a 4-head, I'd say... 5 has a more likable cast, but I'm such a dedicated 4 fan.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
But
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was about Persona 5, but this game blew up.
Oh yeah.
Like Persona 4 was big.
They also
Persona 5 was a like record-breaking like.
Yes.
Was like a movement.
Persona 5 also was marketed. Like, the marketing for Persona 5 was much more than Persona 4, but I think they also had a much larger budget for Persona 5, so they could put the money that there was money that went to marketing, so I think that definitely helped.
Yeah, but also by this point, Sega had purchased Atlus.
Oh yeah, that too, and they had just like that backing them up as well.
Yep, and the other key thing too is the overall world, like, fandomscape had changed by this point.
Oh yeah.
Like, anime was very normal.
Yeah.
Like,
anime is much more acceptable at that point.
Everything is very mainstream. Like 2008, it was still very it
was
not
still
so
like,
much.
Like there was people who you definitely knew who watched anime, but then there was also people like me and Bill who like didn't tell a soul that we watched anime. Like
yeah.
But and then at this point, like, it was
anime
okay.
became mainstream.
Yeah, it's mainstream at this point. It's on every streaming platform.
And also Japanese like RPGs were also like especially the obscure ones were like at the we're back in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was like a whole combination of things all together that just Persona 5 just exploded like in popularity. Like everybody was interested in Persona 5.
Oh yeah.
And it got to the point where the main character, Ren, or Joker, as he's more commonly known as, he's appeared in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Which led to so many speculations of a Switch port, which never happened.
No. It probably never will. at this point.
No, I don't think the Switch... it probably could, but it wouldn't run as good.
Yeah.
But, I'm amazed it hasn't come to PC yet, honestly. But
yeah, I feel like that will happen, and when that happens, I'll finally be able to play it.
Maybe. Well, you'll probably get a PS4 before then.
I know, honestly. Like, I should get one at some point, but just, like, that's money, and you gotta save up for that, so... Or, like, find one that's, like, gently used or something.
Maybe. It's kind of awkward, but, so Persona 5, because they put Joker in Smash Brothers, it actually caused a trend of people being interested in the character. The problem is, though, they're all Nintendo fans.
Yeah, and they didn't have a PlayStation.
Yeah. I also heard, I heard from some people I know at the GameStops I go to that, there was a large influx of, like, children who were interested in playing Persona.
Oh, no.
Which, let's not mince words. Persona is an M-rated series for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was awkward.
Yeah, they get violent and they get dark, and it's probably not the best.
And highly sexual at
times.
Yeah,
no. Like, I mean, like, you can basically date every female in the game, basically.
In 5, you can date your teacher.
Yeah. Japan! Yeah. Japan, everyone! Japan!
And the nurse.
Japan!
And a lot of things. Oh, actually, no, in Persona 5, you can date everybody.
Yeah, and then on Valentine's Day.
Because they'll kick your ass on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Persona 4 on Valentine's Day just makes you feel guilty. And then Persona 5...
Persona 4 Golden. Regular Persona 4 didn't matter.
Oh. Persona 5, though, you get your ass kicked.
I love that they made that a thing.
And when I play Persona 5, I will do that just to get that.
You just want to see him get his ass kicked by all the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so similarly to Persona 4, 5 also had like an influx of spin-offs. Because immediately after Persona 5 comes out, we get Persona... So we actually got 2 games. We got Persona 3, Dancing Star Night.
Yep.
No, Dancing Moon Night. And then Persona 5, Dancing Star Night.
Yep.
Which were translated over to like Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight. And then Persona 5, Dancing in Starlight over here. Which were essentially just the Persona 3 and 5 versions of Persona 4, Dancing All Night.
Yep. And they didn't really have a story, though, this time. Like, the other one had a definitive story, but this one
so Persona 4, Dancing All Night had a full-on story.
Yeah.
In the 3 and 5 games, the story is kind of like...
It's just thrown together to have something to progress you through the game.
It's literally the Velvet Room girls are having a petty spat, so they recruit you into the dream worlds basically to have a dance-off to see whose team is a better dance. Yeah, it's weird like that.
It's stupid. But, it gets the job done.
The whole game basically takes place inside a dream. But,
Ow! I just stubbed my toe.
You're just falling apart this time.
I don't know. It's been a long week. It's been a long but fat.
That's our excuse for every week.
It's been a week, and it's also it's not close. I still have 2 hours to my bedtime, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm a child. It's okay. I'm an adult child. No, I just work for a living. That's it. Anyways.
So do many of us. But anyways, yeah. So the 2 Persona 5 and 3 dancing games. Basically, it's if you liked Persona 4 Dancing All Night, you'll like these 2. You just get more remixes, same gameplay. Although, admittedly, these games didn't sell that well.
Yeah.
I think people were just getting burned out with Persona, honestly.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Oh, yeah. And then after that, we got Persona Q2, which was one of the final 3DS games to release.
Yeah.
And I remember it specifically because it came out right at the end of the 3DS's lifespan. And I remember because it caused a huge shitstorm in the fandom. Because it was announced that the game wasn't going to be dubbed.
Oh.
Which was a shame because it was literally a crossover between Persona 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Although the primary game characters you played as were the 5 cast, but still.
But still,
all
they
three
were
of
all
those
there.
Games, and all of those games have phenomenal voice actors that you would have loved to hear interact.
Yeah.
But alas, it's another good game. And then following that one, then we got the announcement of Persona 5 Royal.
Yes.
Which was essentially the Persona 4 Golden for 5.
Yeah.
It was just an expanded version where they added in probably the content that they weren't finished with yet at the time.
Mm-hmm. And a new character.
A new character, a bunch of stuff. I still have to finish 5 Royal. I just haven't had time to play it, so I'm not going to go too deep into the changes because I haven't seen them all yet.
Yeah.
And then also there was Persona 5 the animation.
Yes.
One of the most interesting anime adaptations because it came out and everyone hated it.
Yeah.
And then the dub came out and everyone changed their mind.
That's funny.
Well, because the dub carried that anime.
Yeah. The dub actors, the voice actors for it.
The voice actor, particularly Xander Mobus as Joker, he carried that character.
Yep.
Because like in the Japanese version, he's like basically a stoic, like silent protagonist in the anime too. Mm-hmm. At least in the dubbed version, they gave him some character and showed that he does have a personality.
Yeah, they gave him a little. It's funny though how like just like having a voice actor, like a different one, can really change the character. Because it's funny, as you know, I'm part of the One Piece fandom now, and a lot of people hate the dubbed actors. A lot of people, they hate the dub for One Piece.
Well, that's just dub versus sub people, and it's an argument that'll never end.
But I will admit that sometimes, like, as much as I love Luffy's character, his dub voice actor, it can be a little ear grating at times.
Well, apparently, not to get off topic, but apparently that was a mandate from Toei that he has to have a female voice actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that his Japanese and his American are both female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the thing.
The female voice actor for the Japan one, it's the one time where I agree. I actually do enjoy his Japanese voice actor more. I just think she brings even more, like, I don't know, the mannerisms of the character, I feel like just, like, come out more. So I feel like that's kind of what happened with Persona, where the dubbed voice actor just made the character more likable in the end.
Well, that's just... We're so used to that over here, especially with, like, the Persona games having the phenomenal dub work that they do.
Yeah.
And
especially too because you're attached to that character that you've already played the game with, and then you go and watch the animation. You're like, who the heck is this person?
Oh, so another great anime example is the Ace Attorney anime.
Oh yeah.
The Japanese version was very mixed overall, but the dub was very well received.
Yeah.
At least from who I've talked to, it was.
Yeah, because I enjoyed it.
It had the same character that the games did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so following Persona 5 Royal, we're basically at the... Oh wait, no, there was Persona 5 Scramble. What am I talking about?
What's Scramble?
Or
Scrambled eggs?
Strikers.
Oh, Persona 5 Scrambled. Scrambled eggs.
No, it's called Scramble in Japan for some reason.
I like that. I like it more because it just makes me think of eggs. Anyways.
See, I remember this game because this game was another case of Atlus trolling the fandom.
Yep.
Because it was initially announced as Persona 5 S.
Yep.
Which led to immediately everyone going, it's a Switch port! They're doing the Switch port!
And then they were like, shit, like, we need to...
No. Then they were like, yeah, this game's coming out for Switch, but it's not Persona 5. It's a spin-off.
Atlus is just a bunch of trolls at this point.
Oh, no. The greatest troll job they ever did was, hey, Switch owners, do you want to play Persona 5? Well, all you gotta do is buy a PS4. They literally said that at one point. It was great.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Atlus is having a good time over there.
But we'll end it. Well, we're not. Well, the final Persona game released to date is Persona 5 Strikers, which is it's basically like a Dynasty Warriors style game, similar to like Hyrule Warriors or Final Fantasy Warriors. Oh, okay. I mean, not Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yep.
It's like a hack and slash kind of thing, but it takes place in the Persona 5 universe. I think it takes place after the events of 5. I'm not sure if it takes Royal into account. I'd have to double check. It's been a while. Yeah. I only played it like once. But yeah, so after that, the series has been kind of in the background for the past couple, like most of 2020. It's been kind of quiet until a week ago, where, well, at the time of recording, it was earlier this week, but
Yep.
they just announced the 25th anniversary of the series.
Yeah.
And with that, they announced 7 projects.
What?
We don't know. They haven't officially confirmed any of them yet.
Yeah.
Although it's basically been all but confirmed that Persona 6 is one of those projects.
Whoa!
Which, I mean, makes sense, because, I mean,
Yeah.
they have the Persona 5 engine already, so they can just port that over.
Yeah.
And make another game. But I'm curious what those other projects are going to be.
Yeah.
I assume more spin-offs.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that the actual, the picture they used for the 25th anniversary, which I'll use in the thumbnail for this episode, what interested me was they actually acknowledge Persona 1 and 2 for one.
Yeah. So maybe we'll finally get that Persona 2 game, the second part. We'll get that.
Maybe they'll do a definitive re-release of the game. Like, we'll get something new, or maybe another re-release of 1.
Yeah.
Just something. And I assume we'll probably see more of the 3 and 4 cast as well.
Oh, yeah. Definitely the 4 cast, I feel like.
Yeah, well, maybe the 3 cast. They seem to want to do more with them now.
I hope we get, like, a nice crossover game again. A nice, good crossover.
Oh, yeah, there was... I forgot to talk about it because it never came out over here officially, but there was Persona 3, the movie.
Yeah, there was that.
Which was like a 3-part movie that kind of adapted the game. Persona 3's plot.
Yeah.
It never came out over here, so we never really got a way to see it.
I think you can watch it on... It might be on Funimation.
It's definitely not dubbed.
No, it's not dubbed, but you can watch it subbed. I'm pretty certain.
It's kind of like the Persona 4 anime.
Yeah.
Not the Persona 4 anime, the Persona 4 Golden anime.
Yes.
Persona 4 had 2 animes.
Yes.
The Golden anime wasn't as good.
No.
I'll say that.
Well, and the reason why is because it basically centered around the new character of Golden, so you kind of...
Who I don't hate, I just wish... The anime was kind of pointless. It should have just been like an OVA.
Yeah, it should have just been, like an OVA. Like, it didn't need, like, a whole series.
That was pretty much as long as the original Persona anime.
Yeah. I didn't watch it.
I watched a few episodes and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I just was like, meh.
See, similar to Persona 5, I love 4's cast so much that it just didn't feel right without the dub.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, so I'm looking forward to the future series. I'm so happy that Persona is where it is now, even if the mainline Shin Megami Tensei fans are bitter about it. But
yeah. Well, they can deal with it.
They're getting a 5th game on the Switch. Like, be happy you're getting something. And they re-released Shin Megami Tensei 3 recently.
Yeah.
Be happy Atlus is doing well enough to keep making games.
Honestly, yeah. Like, and Atlus is doing actually.
Before Sega bought them, Atlus was borderline bankrupt. So.
Yeah. And now Atlus is like a super prominent name in the gaming industry.
Now Atlus is carrying Sega.
Yeah. One thing I do want to do eventually is when we do go to Japan, there is an Atlus cafe where they and they change it up. So like they'll change up the theme based on the game. So every time I don't know how often they change it, but they change it up pretty often. So I think they've done like a bunch of their franchises. So maybe one day we'll go to the Atlus cafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before we wrap it up, who would you say out of the characters, who would you say is your favorite character in Persona? Just in general.
Well, I kind of said it was Teddy. I love Teddy.
Oh, okay.
But
you like Morgana too.
I do like Morgana too. But if I was gonna say a non animal character, I guess I'd have to say. Well, it's kind of weird, but I'd have to say Yu Narukami because his anime. He's just like they gave him such a life, like the anime did, and like after playing it, now you just like think of that whenever you play it. So, definitely that. But if not, Teddy, because I freaking love Teddy. He's my favorite.
You know who my favorite is.
Yukiko.
I love Yukiko.
Yep.
I like Yukiko, and then I like
Futaba?
I love Makoto.
Oh.
What?
Oh, Makoto. Yep, you love Makoto.
Yep. Makoto, not the Persona 3 protagonist, the Makoto Najima from Persona 5.
Yep.
Both the Priestess Arcanas.
Yeah.
Ironically.
He's got a type.
Yeah. And anime girls.
Anime girls. This is the part where Mom starts crying in the car.
No. She's not crying about that. She's crying about the fact that we brought that up. But at the same time, she's more confused. Like she's like, "What the hell are they talking about?"
and then, as soon as this podcast comes out and she listens to it, I'm gonna get a text from her, like always. We love you, Mom.
Yes, we do.
You're our number one fan. Our only fan.
No, we have a few. We have a few. I know a few.
Yep.
We have friends who listen.
Yep.
I have friends who listen anyways.
I don't have friends. Bye.
Well, that just got depressing.
And Mom started crying again.
Oh boy. Well, anyways, guys, I think we've reached the end at this point.
Yeah, we're falling apart as per usual.
We fell apart at the start.
Yes, we did.
But yeah, so the Gaming Collecting Podcast is made on Anchor Podcasts, and you can easily find us on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, thanks for joining us again as we discuss the games that shaped us. We'll see you guys later.
See you later.
All right, see you later.
Bye.